Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to completely forget those low-level avian flu warnings you've been hearing about for years, because the game has fundamentally changed. Today, we're diving into the 2026 H5N1 data, and the signal is glaringly clear. We have officially entered a completely new phase of viral evolution. We're talking about specific biological mutations that researchers have literally feared for decades. These are shifts that are actively bridging the gap between animals and humans right now. So if you think you've got this virus figured out from past headlines, we need to reset that baseline right away. This 2026 strain is just something else entirely, and understanding its exact anatomy is absolutely crucial to grasping our current reality. You see, while the world's attention was, frankly, focused elsewhere, this virus has been quietly and efficiently going to work. It's actively solving what researchers call the mammalian puzzle. It's mutated to overcome the natural cellular barriers that used to keep it pretty much locked down in avian hosts. And this isn't just about the virus spreading faster among birds anymore. Nope. It's about a newfound biological compatibility with mammals. We are watching real-time adaptations happen that make human-to-human transmission a uniquely risky and, honestly, a highly plausible scenario. It's a completely different kind of threat than what we've dealt with for decades. So let's look at this new kind of threat. To really get what's going on, we need to dive into this first major biological shift. We gotta slow down for a second and zoom in on the microscopic biology to understand the exact mechanics of this mutation. Specifically, we need to talk about hemagglutinin. It sounds complex, but basically, it's just a surface protein on the virus that dictates exactly how it binds to the respiratory cells of its host. Think of it like a grappling hook. Historically, the avian version of this protein was totally incompatible with human cellular receptors, and thank goodness for that. That crucial structural mismatch is what kept us relatively safe, basically stopping the virus from being able to latch on and infect us. But here is where it gets really interesting. When you look at the historical strains, compared to the 2026 version, the contrast is wild. In the past, H5N1 struggled immensely to attach to our respiratory cells. It just couldn't get a grip. The required receptor bind just wasn't there. But the 2026 strain, it has developed a highly specific mutation in that exact hemagglutinin protein we just talked about. It's now acting as a universal key for mammalian receptors. The scientific data confirms this is absolutely not a random fluke. It's a highly targeted adaptation that's basically bypassing our previous natural biological defenses. And that brings us to crossing the mammalian bridge. Let's step back and see how this microscopic biological shift turns into an escalating macro-level ecological problem. Because once a virus crafts that universal key at the cellular level, the real-world implications unfold incredibly fast. This biological shift sets off a rapid cascade across different species. Just look at the progression here. In step 1, we're no longer just dealing with a problem contained strictly within isolated poultry farms. Then, in step 2, we see direct spillover into dairy herds and even domestic pets. But step 3 is where the global alarm bells really start ringing. We are now seeing documented signs of mammal-to-mammal transmission in controlled studies. So it's not just a sick bird infecting a cow or a cat anymore. It's mammals successfully infecting other mammals. This cascading sequence is literally driving us straight into what scientists call the One Health nightmare scenario. If you're not familiar, the One Health framework is this idea that human, animal, and environmental health are inextricably linked. You just cannot separate them. So when a virus learns to seamlessly hop from cows to domestic cats and potentially to us, well, the biological distance to a full-scale human pandemic doesn't just shrink, it effectively evaporates. The biological barrier that was protecting us is being actively dismantled right in front of our eyes by the virus's rapidly expanding host range. All right, shifting our global response. This is the pivotal part. So the crucial question now is, how must the global health community respond? We know the microscopic biology has changed, and we know the host range has expanded. The good news? Unlike back in 2020, we actually have a blueprint for what to do next. For way too long, global health has relied heavily on a reactive defense, basically just waiting around to see concerning spikes in hospital admissions before actually taking definitive action. But the data shows this 2026 strain moves way faster than our current surveillance networks. We absolutely must pivot entirely to a proactive defense. We need to be relentlessly tracking wastewater data and putting a massive priority on rural health monitoring. That's where the animal-human interactions are happening every single day. We literally cannot afford to wait for patients to start showing up in the ER. We have to intercept the data right at the source. Which brings us to our final and honestly most powerful takeaway from this explainer: viruses don't stay static. our understanding shouldn't either. The 2026 H5N1 mutations we've mapped out today serve as a stark, undeniable reminder that pathogens are constantly, relentlessly evolving to survive and expand. And we have an obligation to match that biological evolution with our own awareness and our own action. So, as the data signals keep shifting from isolated poultry farms to undeniable mammalian transmission, ask yourself, how are you going to ensure your understanding keeps pace with the science? When the next major headline drops, are you going to view it through the lens of the past or the biological realities of today? Stay informed, keep a close eye on those proactive data signals, and keep asking the hard questions.